Okay. I'm buying you all new car rides. Shoot. And that was the end of our day. I don't know. I don't have any idea. I'm not the one that asked what time. We went over to Al's and looked at some of Al's, but we haven't replaced them yet. And he's just like,
Trying to bring his credit card to Jackson. I know place.
yeah, he's just dying. He's like, I can't believe I did that. So we went back up to the lake, stopped at the Burger Barn, had lunch.
Oh, I love the Burger Barn.
And then went back.
That's a nice way to end the day.
Yeah, it
Except
was
for the
all
snack.
right. Yeah, it was all right.
Chris,
We're like
Chris.
you.
She's
now the mouse is.
in there.
Ben said he was.
Nothing in
I got financial there.
Yeah.
It's in a car.
Son of a bitch.
And
So,
I just looked at my box. That's cool though.
we're surprised.
My mom, my parents are helping with this, and they said, she's like, you should be coming. We sent them out.
I'm gonna stay up after.
I didn't know that one.
It wasn't
Oh,
there last
do
week
they
when
fight
I came.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a couple minutes past 5, so I'd like to go ahead and call this regular scheduled meeting in Santa Clara City Council to order. Welcome everyone who's here tonight. We appreciate you being here. I'm Mayor Rick Rosenberg. We have from the City Council, Councilman Jarrett Waite, Councilwoman Krista Hinton, and Councilwoman Lena Mathis. So we do have a quorum tonight. We'd like to begin the meeting with an opening ceremony and Pledge of Allegiance. We've asked Councilwoman Mathis to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and then the opening comments and prayer will be offered by Linda Van Wert with the Buddhist community. Welcome. We're glad you're here tonight from the St. George Interfaith Council. So would everyone please rise and salute the flag?
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks for the invite. Buddhists don't say amen at the end of a prayer. So what I'm going to do at the end is ring this little bell, and you can imagine the sound spreading the prayer. A quiet mind is close to peace. So let's close our eyes and be quiet for a moment. Feel the flow of your breath. Just be here together in this precious moment. When we open our hearts, we find the one great heart. May we bring calm, compassion, gratitude, and wisdom into our busy lives. And may our work be inspired by it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, if I may quickly, if you don't, right, Linda Van Wert worked for us for a number of years in the Parks Department. So it's great to see Linda here. So, yeah. So, yeah.
Welcome back. Thank you. Okay, conflicts and disclosures. Council, is there anything on the agenda tonight that you have a conflict of interest with that you need to disclose before we start the meeting? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and move into the working agenda. Item number 3, there are no public hearings scheduled for tonight. On the consent agenda, you have before you the approval of the claims and minutes. The minutes of the July 26, 2023 regular city council meeting and the claims through August 9th of 2023. Just a reminder on the calendar of events, our work meeting next week has been canceled. The council will be attending the UAMPS member conference. We will have a regular city council meeting on the 23rd and a special city council work meeting combined with the Ivans City Council on August 30th. So just kind of keep that in mind. Council, is there any question on the claims or the minutes or the calendar?
I just want to give kudos to the individual that does our minutes. I read through several of them recently, was very impressed with how well they do their job. And with that, I'd make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Got a motion by Jarrett and a second by Lena to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any question on that motion, council? This is a money item. Roll call vote. All in favor, Lena,
Aye.
Krista,
Aye.
Jarrett?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you, council. Item B, general business, Santa Clara Ivans City Fire Department badge pinning. Chief Parker, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, good evening. So this is obviously a fun part of the job. So we have two vacancies come up. So we have pretty thorough process. We ended up with 48 applicants. So that was all video-based testing, interview testing as well. And we have our top two gentlemen here with us. So they're going to come on board. Tim Mayhew starts this weekend, and then AJ Ware will start the next following week. So one person's full-time and one is part-time. So first person I'll bring up, without further ado, we'll bring up Tim Mayhew. Come on up, Tim. I have a bio that was prepared, so I'll read that. We'll have you stand here on the spot and just smile as I read. So Tim is originally from the East Coast, and feel free to correct me on anything I mess up here, okay? His family has been in the Washington, D.C. Fire Department for over 100 years. Decided he wanted to follow in the same career, but make his own path. So in high school, he worked on obtaining his EMT basic certification. So that's kind of the entry level for medical. And then competed in wrestling and football as well. So Tim had stellar grades and was able to get a athletic scholarship during his senior year. After he left high school, he volunteered his time with his local fire department, taking fire classes and working in construction until he gained a paid position as a firefighter. So over the past 9 years, he has worked for several firefighting agencies while practicing emergency medicine. He started his career with the Fish and Wildlife Service in North Dakota as a forestry technician. So that's all that wildland firefighting, correct? The start of it. Later worked for City Hot Shots. So City Hot Shots, there's different hot shot agencies throughout the country, but they're usually put on by the Forest Service. And they're usually a group of 19 men and women, usually very arduous work. Sometimes they'll get flown in and they're kind of on the front lines of big forest fires. So it's kind of the Navy SEALs of the fire service, I call it. But so we're happy to have Tim on that. So later he took a contract selling the Merchant Marines as a hospital corpsman. And that was back east in the Bronx, correct? Okay. Was an instructor there teaching maritime first aid. Once his contract expired, he returned to Utah and worked as a firefighter EMT rescue specialist and built a successful wildland program with the Cedar Mountain Fire Protection District and also Dameron Valley Fire Department, which we have Chief Hennessy is here with us as well. So we're happy to have them, and they've been a great partner with us. So while working with Dameron Valley Fire District, he became familiar with our organization. Tim states that he's drawn to the professionalism and work ethic of our organization and knew that he wanted to be a part of this organization. So he's honored to be serving the beautiful city of Santa Clara and Ivans. So congratulations, Tim. All right. So next up, Mr. AJ Ware, come on up. We'll put him on the spot. So AJ was, he took our part-time position that we have. He also works for Dameron part-time as well, right, AJ? Yep. So as a firefighter, AEMT, and both these gentlemen are firefighter and advanced EMTs. So with many other certs as well. So we'll go over AJ's bio here. He was born in Northern California, moved to St. George when he was 9. Some of his hobbies include working out, spending time with his girlfriend. He recently moved to Santa Clara and has been learning more about this community. He's a very supportive group of family and friends, which most of them are all here, dad and mom and others, and who couldn't have gotten to where he is today without them. So congratulations, AJ. The last year of his life, he's been dedicated to earning certificates. That's, fire and the EMS, and necessary qualifications to become a firefighter. He's also been working at Dameron Valley Fire and Rescue and continues to pursue his certifications. Since the start of his fire and EMS training, he has always been interested in working for Santa Clara Evans Fire Rescue. He initially joined our organization as a fire explorer and became the fire explorer class leader. We call that the fire explorer chief. So he's been leading those group of young people, doing a great job with that. He's worked alongside, obviously, some of our firefighters and who have been investing in him, which he said he is grateful for. He's loved learning from the members. He's excited to come aboard as a firefighter and plans to do everything possible to serve the community and citizens of Santa Clara Island. So, all right, congratulations, guys. So we will have whoever wants to come up and pin the badge. We'll start with Tim. Mr. D'Ambrosio, this is Battalion Chief D'Ambrosio from Dameron Valley. So I don't know if anybody wants to want to step out. And I think Jessica's back there taking some photos. So Chief Hennessy as well. So get you in there. There we go. Great job, Tim. Happy to have you. So don't go away just yet. Stay on up here. And then we'll have Maddie come on up for AJ. Go ahead, you can step out, AJ, too, if you'd like, wherever you want to be for the photos. We'll get out of the way. Congratulations. Okay, we'll have Chris Shelley, our recorder, will do the oath of office. You need a mic, Chris? You got one.
No,
Or are you
I
gonna
got
yell?
one. I'll just have to talk loud. I got one right here.
Oh, you do?
I'll just talk loud. If you guys will raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm to perform all your duties faithfully and honestly to the best of your abilities and to uphold and follow the high standards and values of the Santa Clara Islands Fire and Rescue Department and to protect the lives and property of the public that you're sworn to serve? Okay, you're sworn in.
All right, congratulations, man. Let's give them a round of applause. You guys can have a seat. Thank you, gentlemen. And then we have some refreshments and stuff after, so I'll let you continue your council meeting. I'll sit down.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Chief. Welcome, guys. We appreciate the good work that you do and all of the department that's here and your families. We appreciate all that you do for our community, so thanks. Okay, Dustin, are you ready? Discussion and action to consider approval to purchase a 2016 sewer camera trailer for the price of $50,000 from Washington City. Dustin?
Washington City is purchasing a new sewer camera and trailer. They've given us first dibs to buy the used one. It's a 2016 sewer camera. For the past 3 budget years, we've been putting $30,000 into the budget to camera our sewer system. I've made an agreement with them that they'll accept that $30,000 this year and let us pay the next $20,000 for the equivalent of $50,000 next budget year. Brock, if you'll just scroll through some of the pictures, I'll explain what we're getting here. There's the outside of the trailer, slightly damaged as most city trailers are. Keep going. Generator, which is brand new. They just replaced it. That's the reel that you retrieve the camera with. The camera is mechanical and it crawls down the sewer main and camera's the inside of the main for you. The great thing about this camera is what it's got called what's a lateral launch. So it can be going down the main line, and as it comes to a customer's lateral, it has another camera that detaches and goes up the lateral. The camera's that at the same time, and you bring it back and then continue down the main line. Go up a couple more pictures. That's the inside of the room where you sit, you control it. It's got AC, heat. You run the camera with a joystick after an operator outside of the trailer lowers the camera into the manhole. This person sits up here and videos it, records it, looks for any problems. That's where the main operator will sit. Go ahead, another one. It also comes with what's called a detached lateral camera. We already have one of those, and the price tag on one of those alone is $12,000. Now that's where the outside operator stands after he's lowered the mainline camera into the trailer. There's another monitor right there so that he can also watch the video and help the person that's up front look for any problems to detect. Go back up to that one. Scroll. That's the actual camera right there itself that crawls down the sewer main. It takes the video for you. Couple more maybe, Brock. Heater. That's the lateral camera. Same. More pictures of the camera. AC unit. And that probably pretty much covers it right there. I think it's a worthwhile purchase for us. With what we've been spending every year just to camera our system, and we're still looking at a few more years to get our system done. This would save us from ever having to do that. And not only that, anytime we have an emergency, this is who we have to call to come over and do a mainline camera for us. They'll usually come over and drop it in, then we can detect our problem. You know, but it's tough to schedule. They have their own work to do themselves too. Any questions?
What's the longevity of the traditional useful life of one of these?
I would think we would get easily 10 more years.
Really?
Well, we're not the size of Washington. They take them out and they run them every day. We're going to be a couple times a month unless there's an emergency.
Okay.
So I really think, you know, I talked to them a lot about how to get the camera fixed. You know, is there like anything else that you put in the sewer main? It requires a lot of maintenance and a lot of repairs, you know, and it is a 3 to 4 week turnaround, but they do send you a loaner camera while yours is in for repair. But I'm not going to lie to you, they are a maintenance nightmare, just like our sewer trucks are. That's why we own 2 of them, because one of them's always broke down.
Do we have the expertise?
Excuse me?
Do we have the expertise to do the work rather than?
Yes, I already sent two employees over there to get trained, and our guys have been around it a lot already, watching them come over and do it.
Okay.
But they went over and they got trained. They ran the unit. They gave me a good feeling about buying the unit. And I've known the guy at Washington City that I'm purchasing this from for 25 years. Very trusted source.
Okay.
Any other questions, council?
I did. How come Washington is getting rid of this one?
With city their size, with their budget, they can afford a new one that comes in at 250,000. And you know, they're outrunning them every day. They need top notch, brand new. You know, we're not that size. We can make do with something used. It's actually been on my bucket list for 15, 20 years to get one of these. Just I've never had the support till now.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe we've outsourced it. We've paid contractors to come and camera. And I think the last time we did it was about 30,000. And I'm not sure that even did our entire system.
No, we have a couple years left to even get our entire system done, and it's $30,000 a year I've been budgeting and spending just to get ours done.
So definitely it will save in the long run. If not that, then also, as Dustin said, having an emergency or things happen, we don't have to try to wait to when it fits into Washington's schedule. So there's a lot of positives to it.
Okay. Any other questions, council? If there's no other questions, I would look for a motion.
I can make a motion that we approve the purchase of a 2016 sewer camera trailer for the price of $50,000, 30,000 coming out of this budget year, 20,000 coming out of next budget year as presented.
I'll second that.
Got a motion by Lena, a second by Krista to purchase the 2016 sewer camera trailer as presented. Any question on that motion, council? This is a money item. Roll call. Lena?
Aye.
Krista?
Aye.
Jarrett?
Aye.
The ayes have it unanimously.
Thank you.
Council. Thank you, Dustin. Item number 3, discussion on the new culinary water rate.
Thanks, Mayor. I just want to run through a couple of things here with you on on these water rates and let you answer some questions. I also want to turn some time over to Brock to talk about revenue and expense and depreciation in the water department that's currently we need to have a discussion about. The first thing I've attached here for you is Wasatch Front water rates. You can see that they all start higher than ours. Some end quite a bit lower and some end quite a bit higher. Just for a comparison to you, for you to see. I'm sure you've already viewed those. Go to the next page, please, Brock. And I know I've presented this to you before. I just wanted to show you one more time. Currently, we're number 5 in the county on water rates. With our proposed new rate, moves us to number 4, with just Washington, St. George, Hurricane with a lower rate. Next screen, please, Brock. This one right here, I don't want to use. I want you to go over the one that I handed out. It's on your desk. What I did here was I just looked at it. You're not going to have the products. They're just handouts. What I did was I took our residential usage through 3/4 inch meters. There was 2,942 connections with the usage of July of 2023. And I just want to show you with what our water rate increase is going to be, what each tier will be paying. So you can see with in our tier 1 at 92 cents, it's only a 2 cent increase. Revenue increase is only $261. Tier 2 increase of 2 cents, increase of $167. Tier 3, 2 cents, increase of 231. Tier 4 starts to get a little bit higher, 38 cents, $3,175, and so on and so on. For a total revenue increase in water sales of $15,889. And with our $5.25 increase in our base rate, $15,445 for a total of $31,000. Now that's just residential. That's not including any commercial, because that's where the majority of our water is going. So I don't think with this slight increase that we're asking too much. We're not going to get rich off of it. And Brock's going to touch on that later, but I don't think it's quite as abrupt as what you were thinking. If you'll go to that next screen, please, Brock. One more. Now this just shows your average bill. Say if a resident uses 5,000 gallons in tier 1, they're $41. They get up to 9,000, $45.53, and so on and so on and so on. So yes, their bill is going to start to decline a little bit, tier 3, 4, and 5, and 6. But in my opinion, if you're using 40,000 gallons plus a month, I think that you should pay a little more. You know, water is a scarce resource and we're all running low. And there's things that they can do to not have to use that kind of water. Then I just wanted to show you our total number of connections. Out of 3,255 of them, we've only got 1 3-inch meter, 10 2-inch meters, 15 inch and a half, 27 1-inch, 3 of which are only residential. So we've only got 3 1-inch residential meters. Everything else is 3/4 inch. And then 3/4 meters, 3,202.
Justin, where's the 1-inch meters on the residential? Which units are they? You
I
know?
don't know right off the top of my head. I can find that out for
I'm
you. though.
just curious. Are they single family or multi-family?
Single family. Now, Brock, would you like to talk a little about the revenue, expenses, and depreciation?
Yeah. So looking at this current, or this last fiscal year that just ended, as we went through and looked at our financials there, I mean, if we're looking at what we projected where to be, I mean, revenue wise was much less than what we had anticipated. And part of that's good because it's conservation, hopefully is what you're seeing, and which is see our revenues. But we had projected a revenue based on historical use to be just under 2.7 million in metered water sales. And we came in at just under 2 million. So we collected about 72% of what we had projected. Now, on that same side for this last fiscal year, our our expenditures were down as well. Our expenditures only were at about 75% of budget. But even in that case, and that's just meter water sales, but as a whole of our revenue stream minus our operating income, taking out impact fees and that, we collected just under 2.1 million. But even with our operating expenditures down and Dustin doing a great job in his department, we were still at like 2.15. So we're still at an operating loss of $54,000. That does account in that is depreciation. Our depreciation is 566,000, which is, it's not a cash item, but it still goes in there. But we need that to put funds away to replace our aging infrastructure. And so if we're still operating at a loss, we're struggling to put the money away for the future to replace our infrastructure. And as you've seen recently, I mean, the line on Santa Clara Drive that we just redid and the one up on Truman Drive, and eventually we're gonna have a lot more lines, and we're doing Vineyard, and it just continued to happen. So without being able to fully fund our depreciation, make sure we're there. Plus, not only that, that's still just as money going in to fund balance so we have the money in depreciation, but we also rainy day, when we have some additional funds for just the one-time purchases, equipment and stuff. Right now, we're struggling at that point to be able to have money to replace infrastructure, but also for those things that just pop up. I mean, to an extent of buying a sewer truck or a sewer camera there, but if we needed something in the water, those type of things, we're just not hitting that mark right now. I think what Dustin has proposed, even that, we're operating this last year at a loss. The 31,000, what does he make up the 54 that we were this current fiscal year? But it's a step. And as Dustin said, it's not a steep step, trying to make it much more palatable. And I don't know what this fiscal year 24 is going to bring. I mean, is our meter water sales going to continue to decrease as people look to conserve? They remove turf and that, which is good to conserve water, but it also we have to watch what we're doing in the water fund, and also to expenditures as well. So, those are some things to watch out, but our infrastructure's, it ages. I mean, I think of the Heights water project that's 11 years ago. It's crazy to think that project was done 11 years ago. But at some point there, I mean, that was a $6 million project. And if we had to do that project, I mean, and even more so that I feel like this has to is where rates are right now. I mean, rates, if we have to go out and bond, right, and we doing our generators and the things we did previously, or doing some refundings, we have great rates on all of our bonds. But to go bond now, I mean, it's like I saw for St. George City on their general obligation bond they're doing, I think it's 29 million, but the repayment is going to be 45 million. I mean, that's a huge, and that's where we would love to stay out of bonding if we can. The only way to be able to get that is to have the revenue to pay as you go, which would be fantastic. But in that also is, we have to have that revenue coming in. And so I think Dustin's done a great job at trying to balance what the council has done and the direction given to try to balance something from a little bit higher rates and coming down to something I think works pretty good.
Council questions?
Our new proposed base rate, will that really cover our fixed costs? Or are we still going to be capturing?
O&M, yes.
Okay.
Base rate covers your O&M.
Because I saw like our base rate will be higher than everything else around us, except for I think Tokerville. But if it truly is covering our O&M, then that's
It
ideal.
covers O&M, but it doesn't leave anything for renewal and replacement.
Right. Right.
That's where the water rate is going to help. If I can get $200,000 or $300,000 a year and do one street of water line that's causing us problems, leaks, the guys are going out on them once a week to fix leaks, like this one out here. That keeps us from having to do a bond like we did up in the Heights.
Mhm.
I'm not looking to buy trucks and give guys raises. I want this system to remain in good condition without failing pipes day after day after day. These guys are out fixing three leaks a week sometimes. Other things that they could be doing. And this renewal and replacement out here is going to help that a lot because we work on that old water line out there a lot.
I've thought about this a lot, and like I love our road plan for renewal and replacement where it's on schedule and we've mapped out our streets and had an idea of the age of the pavement on each street. How hard would it be for us to do something like that for the sewer system or the water system, I should say? Yeah. Like, is it just
First thing, we
records
need the
from
money.
from a long time ago you could even find, or because it'd just be nice to know maybe for our next budget year, like we really need 300,000, 500,000, we need $1 million a year. Like, what is it really to keep up with the renewal and replacement? Because right now it just feels a little bit nebulous. It's more like what you're saying, like we're just going to the worst spots and fixing those. But that's kind of like letting a road get so bad that you.
Yeah, that wouldn't be that hard to put that together.
Okay, I'd really appreciate that. Because then I just know when we spend money on roads, like it's wise. We've really thought through it. It's part of a plan. It's not just a Band-Aid, you know. And so maybe that could be a goal for the next budget year or something to figure that out.
Yeah, we can do that.
And then just anecdotally, I did want to, we've brought up my personal water use several times in these meetings. And so I went back through and looked this year compared to the previous year. And the two main things that I changed this year were I put in the recirculation pump and then I watered one less day on my grass, which seems like a fairly decent ask of residents. I mean, I do have brown spots in my lawn, but it's not like the whole lawn died. And I was able to drop 10,000 gallons per month, which is pretty big, right?
Yeah.
So I would still get hit with the tier 4. And one thing I looked at was, I went through the study that's been done, and basically they're hoping to get, and I think this is still up to date, about $52 per ERU instead of $42.15 per ERU, which is basically a 24% increase we need to make somehow in our water rates. And so with the water rates that are presented tonight, I'm right at a 24% increase in my home. So I think you're going to be looking at, like, people will probably have to replace some turf, or let their lawn get a little bit more brown. They may have to put in a recirculation pump, but you can get there without getting hammered with the higher rates. And frankly, I'm surprised there's 649 connections that would be in tier 6. That's like a fifth of our residences, right? Are using that much water. That's surprising for sure.
But you ought to see the number that stays in tier 1.
Yeah, for sure. It's the same number, actually. Yeah, very similar. So, I mean, I guess just, I can see where these rates are coming from, and it's just interesting to hear that we'd still not be in the net positive because of our amount of depreciation, even with these increases. That's basically what you're saying, Brock, right? We're still short 20 grand.
Yeah.
23 grand. And how much was depreciation?
566,000. That's an roughly an estimate based on all of our new stuff. We'll get the final number through the audit, but that's what our best guess was at the time when we booked it. So,
okay.
but no, that 54 though is
That's an annual amount, right?
which one?
The 54, you were calculating that based on the
That was
annual
last fiscal
budget, right?
year, yeah.
Yeah.
But it also, there is, that number can, a lot of factors into that. I mean, like say our revenue was only collected at 75% as a whole for operating revenue, came in at 75%. And expenses were at 75% as well. I mean, the job it all depends. I mean, it could be, that number could get way out of whack if the wells go down. And you got to replace bowls, you got to replace shafts and those things. And then also in that same time that you're paying that, you're also paying the Conservancy District to buy water now. So you get hit on both sides, and that really could, but if we have a great running year, that 54 could turn close to being right at a right at zero or even to a positive. Kind of just depends on how the system functions throughout the fiscal year.
But is this 31,000 for the month of July?
Yes.
Is that for 1 month or is that annually?
I think that's just for the month. So wouldn't that address our $54,000 overtime shortfall?
Is this the sheet that you have that you gave us that says it would be a total like 31,000? Is that just for a month or is that for an annual increase? Do you know, Dustin?
Yeah, I'm not sure. We might need to discuss that.
Yeah, if that's 31,000 additional revenue each month.
That would be the usage off of just that month.
Yeah.
So yeah, so then it answers the question, and then probably on both sides of it, it answers the depreciation plus stuff, funds to the fund balance to have for one-time purchases and when things in water purchases.
Well, and I understand that July is a high month for usage, but does that put us in collecting too much in water throughout the year then? If this is monthly and it address the shortfall.
Right.
Meaning I don't want to over collect,
Mhm.
but I do want to address the infrastructure we've talked about. So I guess we need to know if this is annual or monthly.
It's monthly.
Yeah, that is monthly.
But
But again, you're looking at like 31,000 now, probably 31,000 last month, but then in January, it's gonna be like 5,000 more. Or not even that maybe, because almost everyone's gonna be in tier 3. So it'd be almost nothing extra. during those months.
right.
Those winter months will be your main bit of your increase is going to be off that increasing the base rate would be really what we'll see.
So you're really looking at, before I did those optimizations, probably 4 months of around that number.
So we'd be addressing our need, but not over.
Well, it's more than double that shortfall. Right? 30
Yeah.
times 4, 120.
But that's only setting aside X amount of dollars more for the replacement needs. If you have a large replacement you need to go do, you may barely cover that cost with that increase.
Right.
Because that's not in the budget number, just.
Right.
And if we look at overtime, people taking out turf and using less water,
Yes.
and this is going to go down.
Yep.
as well.
Like this, I think this will still encourage people to take out maybe a front yard,
I think so.
which I've seen on my street quite a bit happening. We're considering it too.
I've seen a lot of side yards, kind of space no one's using coming out.
Mhm.
And I guess that's the balance to try to find is how much turf do you potentially want to encourage to be taken out?
Right.
I mean, because as you take it out, it also can increase the heat index, and so, which we don't necessarily also want, but we need to conserve water, and that's finding that balance. Okay, where's our rates that says people still can afford to say, I can keep my turf. I don't have to take it out. And I don't know where and that's going to be different for everybody. So.
It
I-
is, yeah.
I'm 2 months in I have no traditional lawn anymore. And I'm 2 months in, and I already had my back done years ago, but my front I took out and it cut my water usage in half for the last 2 months.
Sure.
I was surprised because my front lawn's not very big, but
Yeah.
it was half.
But this water rate needs revisited annually. and corrections made. If we're not collecting enough, we're collecting too much, we can make changes. We need to keep a close eye on it with this revenue and depreciation. And renewal and replacement. If we don't have enough money to keep replacing these old pipes, then we're looking at a huge bond again.
Right. So on the sheet you gave us, the tiers 4, 5, and 6 is where we're, tacking on beyond what the study, told us we needed to do it at minimum. I guess my question would be, is tier 4, is that basically the cutoff where new construction needs to be under a certain amount? I know, like, I looked
They're
at.
16,000.59. That's new construction.
And so
They'd
tier
be
4
in
is
tier
like,
2,
tier 4 is past 23,000, right?
24,000 to 30,000.
Okay,
So doesn't, on the new construction starting after January 1, if I'm not mistaken, if you don't have secondary water, isn't the cutoff 8,000? Then
Not
if
sure,
they-
I'll have to look
I thought it
that
was,
back up
I thought it
again.
was 8,000 for, well, let me back up. 8,000 for like your winter months, and then in your summer months, you could get to 16.
I think you're
1,000.
I
right.
think that's right.
And then those new ones as well, if they go over, I believe it's a $10 per thousand surcharge from the water district.
right.
If you have secondary water on that, you're a flat 8 all year round, I believe. If you have secondary water for your outside use, you're an 8, because that's what they're estimating, 8 for inside use.
And like right now, you get the surcharge from the district if you go over 36,000, which I didn't do this year. Last year I did several times. So my question would be, do we want to, is this kind of a blend between what the water district's recommending for current users versus new users? Because if we were just matching what they're requiring of current homes, you'd really start hammering them past 36,000, but we're starting to hit them at like 23,000, right? So that's kind of a question I think we need to decide as a council, what are we, because I really do think this will encourage more turf removal the way it is now. And maybe that's fine. Like if that's the decision we want to do, then that's totally fine. I think if you wanted to maintain turf, you'd make tier 5 a little more of a hit and less than the hit in tier 4. So I just think in those larger lots in Santa Clara, getting to tier 4 isn't too hard. Like I'm well into that 4th tier during the summer. I'm on a 3rd acre.
What would you say in softening tier 4 from 250?
I mean, I'm not an expert, so I don't know, but I don't know. I don't know if I even want to throw out a number necessarily, but just I'd like to have that discussion as a council, like tier 4 probably encourages some front lawns or some side yards to be removed. And if that's fine with us, then I think we leave it the way it is. If we want to maintain a little bit more of that, then you probably shift some of that increase from tier 4 and into tier 5. Does that make sense? And I'd love to have other people's opinions on that.
I can't run my computer, so I'm stuck with what
Still
you're looking at.
doesn't work?
There was
I'm just looking on the paper.
yeah, I'm just looking for, was there a chart that talked about or a graph that we saw last time? How many are getting into tier 4? How many are getting into tier 5? How many users are getting hit with tier 5 rates?
And that's on this paper right here. You can see how many connections hit those tiers. Right, Dustin?
Well, one thing you need to keep in mind is this was going off of our existing usage. So right now we still have a tier 7 and a tier 8. So I just rolled 7 and 8 into 6 to show you the comparison of revenue that we would generate. So that 640 connections is actually tier 6, 7, and 8,
Gotcha.
all rolled into 6. That's why that number is so high.
So Dustin, let me ask a clarifying question on the paper here. In tier 1, it's 634
Correct.
connections. When you hit tier 2, it's 372. So you're saying, is it roughly half of those 634 continued in
Mhm.
to tier 2?
Yeah.
Or is that 372 on top of the 634 that stopped at? That's the way I read it.
No, I did another 372.
Are in tier 1 and
It would
tier
have to be-
2.
Go that way, right?
And then 517 are in tier 3 plus the other tiers.
Mhm.
That's the way I read it.
Okay. That's how I would, yeah.
Does that make sense?
That's how I read it
Yeah.
too, in order to get to the number of connections.
Yeah, about 3,000 connections.
Mhm.
So that's where you can see like, what? Half of our connections are gonna stay in tier 3 and not really see hardly any of an increase. And then about another half of our connections will see that bigger increase. And again, this isn't the dollar we were talking about in previous meetings, except for that last tier, and I get that. So we have softened it a fair amount. We were at tier 4, $1 extra. And same with tier 5, now we're at 38 cents and 44 cents. But I should probably stop talking and just get other input on this, because I don't know.
I think we want to continue to encourage some of the landscape reduction. It would be nice to be able to wean ourselves off of the water district, because that's the highest priced water that we buy on the wholesale side is what we buy from them. We can produce our water at 40 cents.
30, just under that,
But when we buy it from them, it's $1 plus.
50, 65 now, I think.
So we want to encourage some conservation. If we can get the community as a whole to conserve and still facilitate some growth and wean ourselves off of the water district, the costs that we pay for the water is going to be less overall. So I think we still want to have enough to encourage people to, I don't think we want to price it to where it's like not a big deal. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. I think we want everybody looking at what can I do? Now, do I have to take out my front lawn? Maybe not. Maybe I do here the circulation pump instead. The individual house and the landscape scenario and the interior plumbing are going to have a lot to do with what they do to reduce. But I think we'd want to have everything set to where we encourage everybody to be thinking about that all the time. To try, what can I do to do just what you did? I can see I'm going to get hit. I'm going to take these steps. I'm going to monitor what I see and see the impacts and determine if I do something else.
Mhm.
If we had 3,200 connections doing that, we could achieve it to where we could provide our own water and not pay the big money, except and use it just as redundancy.
Mhm.
So we've got that redundant source in the event that well 7 has problems, or we lose 6, or something happens. We're not out of water, but we're pretty well handling our own needs. Now, I don't know, we've adjusted those rates to death, I think, to where you can't remember what the last set did. So I think we're getting really close, and it wouldn't bother me to see, that tier 5 or 4 and 5 adjust a little bit more. That wouldn't bother me, but I think we still want to be able to, we don't want to let anybody off the hook. We want everybody to be thinking about it. If I can get on, we want to encourage people to connect secondary. We want to encourage people to eliminate unnecessary turf, to put in the recirculating systems, to do all those things to be able to meet it. And then that overall system, the cost of that overall system should start to drop.
Yep.
Because we're going to be buying a lot less water from the water district during those high volume months.
Well, I think we're very lenient to the people in the first three tiers, showing them if you'll conserve that water, you're not going to pay near as much. I mean, those are low water rates in those first three tiers.
Mhm.
And those are equate to 52% of our users. So more than half of the residents are gonna fall in those three categories.
I really like that approach to an overall kind of rate reduction at some point, if we can.
Yeah, at least you can get it to where you're not raising a lot. Because you may be raising your base because your O&M costs are gonna just go up. But that water usage, that consumptive rate that we're paying, if we can get that to stay within what our system will provide it for, it would save a ton.
Well, and I think with the water rates, it's something people can individually address. I mean, if they really don't want to pay that higher rate, there are things that they could do. They may not want to do them, but they can do them. So I'd be in favor of leaving the rates the way that they are. I think the 250 is fine with me.
I may be looking at this and going through between the tier 3 and tier 4. I mean, it's an 80-cent jump. But going from 4 to 5 is only a 50-cent jump. Not quite as much as hitting as it is to jump, and maybe kind of flipping that a little bit.
Or
Yes,
evening it out.
to maybe drop it by 30 cents, so it goes to 220, but make it when you get that next tier, it is a little bit more listening to kind of that tier, right, where maybe that tipping point is where the majority of our residents are
You
falling.
kind of got to look at it though, because every time we tweak one of those, it changes that revenue.
Mhm.
And it's hard to say, yeah, change that 30 cent, unless you got the spreadsheet open and you see what the revenue number changes. And then people adjust to that rate too.
Right.
So I think we're really close. Little minor tweaks aren't going to worry me too much. I still want to make sure that people are thinking about ways they can reduce it, because that would help everything.
Yeah, and dovetailing off that and what Krista said, like, I feel like with power, you're kind of stuck on your usage. Like maybe your house isn't insulated great, or you have an older AC system, like it's bake in the summer or pay the rate. But this is like, take out some grass or water a little less, or put in a circulation pump. It's $1,000 or $2,000. You do it yourself, it's like $500. So this is definitely a lot more in your control than power.
And there are incentives, I think, in the state where they're coming to do some of those things too, so.
You'll be able to get financial help to remove grass. Did you get any financial help on your recirculation pump?
No, I couldn't find anything.
I'm gonna hit them up about that.
Yeah, I looked, I thought I'd get something and there was
I
nothing.
mean, they give you rebates for low-use toilets. Why wouldn't you? Seem like that one would be a lot
Well,
more.
and dishwashers and washing machines, I mean, you can get stuff for all that kind
Right.
of stuff to help.
I'll have to look. I appreciate what you've done with your tracking yourself. I haven't gone to that level. I don't use near the water that you're using.
Yeah.
So I'm not financially stimulated to do that, but I appreciate what you've done because it gives you insight as to impacts of what you can do, and that there is a lot of control that the resident has if he'll take the time to do it.
If they approve item 3 on the agenda,
That's right.
everybody will be doing that.
So the one we're talking about.
The
The
next
customer
one.
portal for power and water usage.
Oh,
The portal.
yeah, and I've been pushing for that too. I want to get that to where you can sit there and look at it on your phone.
I agree.
And maybe I can get rid of Facebook and then just sit and watch my water bill.
One other thing I've just been thinking about too, along the same line, is people with above ground pools. I'm one of them. you really need to fill it like in low water usage months, because I have about 5,000 gallon pool. And so I think I'm gonna leave it up this year, so I don't have to fill it up again next year, which is a whole nother discussion, but even that, like,
You have to put a hot water recirculating pump in.
I'll just overwinter it, I think is what you call it, where you just cover it and, but even that can save a lot of water if you do it early in the spring, when maybe you're not quite gonna use it yet, but then you're not tacking 5,000 gallons or, some of those pools are 10,000 gallons, those above ground pools, so. Or if you're gonna drain your pool and then refill it, like just a regular pool, you'd wanna do that outside of the. So this will kind of make them think about that sort of stuff too. So I agree with Brock. It would be great to even out the jump from 2 to 3 to 4 to 5.
Let's decide on a number.
I mean, are you comfortable without what Mayor said, like put in a spreadsheet and seeing it filter through? Or is this just gravy at the end that we're talking about? And it's okay if it nudges a little bit one way or the other. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Is
That's
this a
right.
spreadsheet?
it came off of our Polaris, our usage.
We could plug this into a spreadsheet.
You
pretty
could,
quick.
you
I
could
mean,
plug that into a spreadsheet pretty fast and do that.
Yeah. I mean, I could almost do it here on my phone if you have the time.
I mean, I really liked in one of those meetings, you had like the 4 or 5 different scenarios and they all ended up in the same spot. It just showed different rates for each tier. And that was a long time ago we presented that. And I didn't see it in the current water study. So I think that's kind of what Mayor's looking for. Like, we're all gonna end up at the same point, but what do those have to actually be? But I agree, we're really close.
I think you're there just about, I mean, maybe you tweak those two numbers, but
Well, if you take tier 4, I did a quick calculation. If you take tier 4 and drop it to 235 and times it by the connections, it saves you $86.95. That's it.
that's all you get. That's all the savings is. Because the number of connections is,
This is 437.
yeah, it's only 430.
Right, the bulk of that increases in the really high water users.
Yeah, I mean, even that, I mean, that 15,000, 9,500 of it comes out of that tier 6,
Yeah.
Right.
which
That's where
if
we
our
want
tier
it.
6 decreased, you can see people are conserving, but if they're not, that's the idea is if you're gonna stay in that tier,
You
Yeah,
gotta
you
pay-
should- you
you
should-
gotta pay- you gotta
If
pay
If
for
you're
it.
should be up there.
staying in tier 6, you're disregarding your water bill because you're gonna start getting hammered by the water district big time,
Yeah.
let alone what we're doing to them.
And there's the whole like, budgets are tight right now, like everything has gone up, this is gonna go up too. If you can soften the blow for families that might have a little bit tighter budget, that would pop into tier 4 during the summer, that would help in that.
Well, I'm okay with the 250, but if you want to make a change to it and split the difference between tier 3 and tier 5 and go to 235, that's what I came up with 235. It's like I said, it's only gonna cost you $86. It's probably not a huge deal.
Yeah, I think it's just perception when someone looks at the water bills and
You could always take that extra and add it to tier 6 and make some.
You
Yeah.
could. You
I think you
could.
can make tier 6 more to 450 or so. And
Make it for you. Drop that to 235 and make tier 6 450.
so I'm
You'll
just
make some more
curious,
money.
Dustin, I mean, do you know, like, how are people using that much water? I mean, that's a fifth of our city is in those higher tiers right now. Is it
Well, you
just
look
they're
at
watering every single
look at the Size
day?
of some of these yards. You know, they've always said 60% of water usage is outside,
Mhm.
you know, it's their yards. Large homes, large families, large yards. That's what I've seen every time I've looked around at our highest water users. They're people that hire landscapers, they just want the grass green.
Yeah.
They don't care what the sprinkler timer set at, they don't even know what their bill is,
They don't even,
Right.
which just for your own knowledge, we had our first kickoff meeting with Yopify with the water district. So, you know, it's this new website where we can go out and send mailers out, text messages and things like that, emails to our highest water users, and just say things like, did you know if you'll cut your water back 1 day a week like you did, you're save this much water.
Mhm.
So that's in the works too.
Good. But yeah, I like ramping. Like it's a big jump, like Brock said, from 3 to 4, and then a smaller jump from 4 to 5, which seems a little backwards in my head. To ramping up the increase, the more water you use.
I'm fine either way.
So we good on the
Let's-
235?
Let's do the 235
But then are we adding to tier
and
6?
430.
So I go to 235, leave tier 5 at 3 and add more on the tier 6. Did you say 450?
430.
430 at tier 6.
What's that do? How much more money does that make?
What did you want to go, what did you want it to go to?
430.
430,
So it's
so 16 cents
15
more.
cents, 16 cents times
Times
6.5.
$103.84.
Oh, so we made about 17 bucks on that.
I mean, Mayor, is this just explaining how you said water is so cheap here for so long that?
Yeah.
You make these swings and
Nothing.
price increases and it still is $100.
Yeah.
Well, I think some of that, if you looked at some of the stuff on the Wasatch Front and some of those bills and rates of where people go, I mean, like Pleasant Grove, I mean, you're starting at 295 at 5,000 gallons. And that, you know, they do with the big tiers, but they're 15,000 to 50,000, $6.26.
Yeah.
They're not all that, but there's some, I mean, even like the Lehigh, there's 2 tiers. I mean, it's just water rates as in with power rates. I mean, everybody is different, but I still think it's relatively cheap. I mean, Sandy, West Jordan, I mean, you're starting at $2.30. There's some, where some of them are cheap. I mean, Provo does 2 different. They do the seasonal, kind of like Ivans does. They've got a winter and summer rates. Springville actually, I mean, they go to, I mean, I look at Springville like you actually have a tier for 200,000 plus.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't,
How
I
do
mean,
you-
who hits
how do
200,000
you
plus?
use that?
That's gotta be like a farmer or something that's on
You
a
know.
residential rate.
But
Crazy. The only other thing I noticed, and this just to clarification, on tier 6, it would actually not start at 40,000. It'll start at 36,001. Because
Oh,
it's
okay.
everything above that it's everything above tier 5.
Okay.
So just make that notation.
Thank you.
It's true for all of them.
Yeah, so you go to 36 here, so that actually be 36,001.
And tier 5 would start with
1,001.
30,001 instead of 31,000.
Excuse me?
Tier 5, I mean, the same thing. Tier 5 would start with 30,001, not 31,000.
Oh, okay.
Because you're missing that 1,000 in the middle.
Uh-huh.
I think on all of those, they just need to be adjusted. But if this is just information, we get it.
So tonight was just discussion and we're voting. We'll vote next time.
Yeah, this was more discussion.
Does it have to be a public hearing?
yeah, so if you're good, we would bring,
Special meeting?
if you guys are good with those tweaks, we would to have it on the 26th for the public hearing, we have to notice tomorrow. That's to start for the 2-week public notice. So if you're good with those tweaks that we made, we will notice tomorrow and have it back on public hearing on the 26th.
Yep, I'm good with it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dustin. Okay, discussion and action to consider approval of customer cellular web portal for water and power usage.
Okay, this is 28,000 out of pocket. The 13,500 is just a one-time setup fee. Then it's going to be an annual software charge for 14,500. So you know this was one of your wishes. It's going to go through Eaton, the same system that did our water and power now. They'll come out, familiarize it with us, help us get it set up. And if we want to continue on, we'll just keep putting the 14,500 in the budget annually for the software. This Yapify app, they've told me that they've been able to reach a lot of people just to give them more knowledge about this web portal for customers to use. That's helped quite a bit through text messages, postcards, things like that. I thought we could put something in our utility bill, a little mailer, something on our website, just to try to get it out there, get usage, but we still have word that it's not a real popular thing. But I know it was one of your wants, so I want to present it to you.
Not a real popular thing. Not being-
Customers haven't been using it.
I wonder if that's education.
I think it is, absolutely.
Have you used Mayor, have you used the portal?
I watch Mayor Randall and I watch Mayor Staley. They pull it up when we have our meetings. And so, I mean, I that's the only exposure that I've had to it. It's watching some of my counterparts be able to use it. St. George put all the city council on it and let them play with it for a couple of months before they made the decision. I don't know if the software company set it up for them.
I know, can we do that? Because I've wondered, just usability of the app, is maybe it's not easy to use.
Can you get a trial for 25 users or something?
I can ask them. I'm not sure. I haven't looked into it, but we can look at that.
Because when we first got the new system, I asked that of the rep and they're like, yeah, no one ever uses the app. Like, you're welcome to pay for it, but you'll get like 5 users and then they'll use it once and then never use it again.
Why don't we see if we can get enough to put it on and then require all the staff and council to do it and run it for a couple months and see what kind of feedback we get.
Okay.
If they think it's worth it, if it's too hard to use it.
Because I mean, right now you can just log into Express Bill Pay. It's really easy to see previous bills. You pop in a spreadsheet, and so the number is pretty accessible right now if you're doing online bill pay.
But you can't see current usage.
You're not seeing your real time though, right?
Correct. No, it's
No.
just
I was thinking
past.
they could look at this and say, whoa,
This is real
this
time.
is
Yeah.
happening at my house right now.
Right.
That's what I like about the app, but
See if they'll do something like that, maybe before we go hard on the money.
Okay. No problem. I'll get back to
If
you.
the word on the street is nobody uses it, let's save the money.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Can
can
you
we
know how many
ask?
times we gotta raise the rate to get 13.5 if we're only getting $100?
I mean, I guess this is probably coming out of Howard's.
on how bad they want to watch it in real time.
Would we split it between water and power to pay for this?
Yeah.
That's how we did the AMI meters was split.
That's all
Split
Gary
cost
needs is
water.
another power rate increase.
Oh.
For sure. And maybe, I mean, can we ask St. George in Washington, like how many users they have?
I would think. Do they run the same system? Do you know?
I didn't know that they were, but I can find out.
And there is one on Mayor Randall's phone.
That's interesting. I'm not aware
They gave all the council.
of one in St. George, so. It is, I would jump on it and I would check it out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just see.
I'll ask.
Yeah, yeah, because you live
You're
in
in
St.
St. George.
George.
Well, I don't know if they did it citywide.
What's that on the record?
I will ask my neighbor. I'll ask my neighbor if this is, I'll ask Mark Martinson. I'll ask him
Oh, yeah.
if they have an app. If they do, I'd love to jump on and see and
Yeah.
and see if I can really track him. So I'll ask him.
So we'll table this until you get back.
Sounds good.
Do I need a motion to that?
Probably.
Probably,
Yeah.
or a motion to
Yes.
table item number 4, council.
I move that we table item number 4, considering approval for the customer cellular web portal for water and power usage.
Second.
Got a motion by Kristen and a second by Lena to table this item until we get some more information back. Any question on that motion, council? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Any opposed? Guys have it unanimously. Thank you,
Thank you.
council. Thanks, Dustin. Thanks for doing everything we tell you to do, even though sometimes we wonder why we told you to do it. Okay, number 5, mayor and council reports. Ben, thank you. Rena?
I don't think, we had our first youth council meeting last Wednesday. Got to meet all 5 of the young adults. They are great. They're very excited. You will probably see them for the first time at Swiss Days. Yeah, it's Swiss Days.
Are they gonna come here before then?
I can certainly have them come here if you'd like. to
Just so
have
we
them come.
recognize them at Swiss Days.
Sure, I can certainly do that.
And while I'm thinking about it, would you see if we can get the princesses in?
Yeah.
And Heritage, we met last week, and we're starting our discussions on looking at design guidelines to establish some design guidelines for commercial projects within the historic district, rather than just renovations of remodels of existing residential homes. We had probably, 10 residents come, maybe 8 or 10, something like that, come and listen. They were very respectful. It was I thought it was a really good meeting. Some more than others, but it was all right. It was all right. It was a good meeting. We're gonna meet again I have to look at my calendar in a week. Yeah, in a week. To start that process. We've got some design guidelines from a few other cities, Park City, Salt Lake, Midway, a few other cities, Heber, that we're gonna maybe use to help incorporate some of our ideas. So,
Do we have the joint meeting scheduled yet?
not that I'm aware of.
You guys gonna take some time and then we'll do the joint meeting, or do you want input from planning commission and council before?
I think we're gonna do this first meeting to start the discussions of what they want to see. And then I know Brock was looking at his calendar to see when he could schedule that.
Is it October?
October was what we were thinking based on schedule with meetings and other things.
And what they're really looking for, honestly, and Jim can attest to this, what they're really looking for is they would like to have some teeth, is what they call it, in the historic district guidelines. So that when a developer comes in and wants to propose a project, they feel like, okay, they have to meet this, they have to meet this, they have to meet this. And rather than it just being, well, they should do this, or we just want them to have a red brick facade and all they're doing, and they don't really have any teeth to say, yeah, you're not gonna get past us unless you meet these requirements. And so,
The mic, Jim.
Yeah, it was.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Heber City, their guidelines, but right in the beginning, there's shall and should. And they talk about the shalls are requirements and the shoulds are suggestions and guidelines. So it could be done like that. Then you got to play in between the lines and make sure it's right rather than standards. I'm not sure about standards still. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
so we'll see how it pans out, but that's kind of what they're looking for, which is reasonable. I think it's reasonable. So.
Yeah.
I have a question on that. I had a resident ask me if they could get a copy of the current design guidelines.
Mhm.
And I said, I'd never seen a digital version of it, only a booklet passed around.
Oh, I'll scan it. I'll scan it and send it to you.
Or do we already have
I-
that as a stack? We just put it on the website somewhere?
I think it's on there. I think the PDF.
It was at one
Yeah, I
time. We
think the
just,
PDF's
we
there.
give out
all over.
electronic versions.
Couldn't
We'll have to
find it.
look.
And there's no search function on the current website, so it makes it a little harder if you're not
Yeah.
totally sure, but I looked all over and couldn't find that PDF. So
We can for sure add it. It'd be easy enough to scan and upload
that'd be
it.
great.
And that's all I have.
Thank you. Krista?
I met with Lainey and Brooke about Swiss Days and our puzzle unveiling. And they asked that the council and mayor be the ones to take care of the artist and dancers, I guess, that evening or that day with anything they need. So they have enough on their plate. They're asking if we can be in charge of that. I don't know what that looks like yet, but I'm just giving you the heads up that they'll have a room for them. They'll let them be in the council room, like as a kind of green room, I guess, but they have their hands full already. We talked about just logistically how we will be selling the puzzles and everything, and I think they're gonna be working with you on that, Brock.
Yep, I met with them.
Okay.
The other day.
So it is going to be great, and Eric will be staying and be in the parade on Saturday. So that will be fun, and we need to make a determination on how many of each puzzle count we are ordering. And we kind of come to the 5,000, 1,000. But Brooke brought up, like, aren't you doing something smaller? Like I do it with my kids if it was 100 piece. And Samantha was kind of like, well, not very many people order those. Samantha from Dowdle. So is the council interested in any 100 piece baby puzzles? They were very confused about who would want to do a 1,000 piece puzzle. And I said, well, me for one would love to do a 1,000 piece puzzle. So I'm fine to stick with 5,000, 1,000, but if someone feels strongly about 100s, okay. I'm going to go ahead then and let Samantha know that's the order. That's okay. Okay. That's all I have.
So there'll be an option of 500.
Or
Is there 2 versions?
It'll be the same puzzle, just different counts on the puzzle.
Yeah.
cut.
Okay, well, I can't ever do more than a 500, so it won't be 1,000. Thank you. I'm glad there's 500.
I said there were a few of us on the council that like 1,000 piece, and a number of residents had come to me and said, make sure you get 1,000.
The 1,000, yeah.
They think we won't find anyone that will want to do those, and I
have a
I will
list.
prove
I
them
have a
wrong.
list of residents who've said,
Well,
hey, put me on
yeah.
your list for 1,000 because they know that we're ordering fewer of them.
My wife likes puzzles a lot with her parents. We do them around the holidays, and 500 is my limit. When she pulls 1,000 out, I'm done. I'm back to football.
We're going to learn a lot about people through these puzzle purchases. But now that's really all I have.
There's a question okay, I'll get it. Anything?
I do not have anything to report.
You got my email on the volunteer of the year? Everybody
Yes.
okay with that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I'll get back to him, or if you see him, tell
Okay.
him, Denny and Donna,
Mhm.
because they both have stuff that they've done volunteer wise, so. I don't think there was anything else. The design meeting's still going on, Graveyard Wash. Doesn't look like they're gonna be bidding it until the end of the year. They're still working out some issues with the Fish and Wildlife Service on that. The water group meeting, next time I meet is on the 24th to talk about the rural water supply agreement. I guess Matt does have a meeting with the water district attorney coming up before then. He told me today. You guys are still meeting monthly. I think they approved those conservation standards on Monday. And so that's still going forward. Mayor Hart told me that he wanted to start working with us to put more pressure on the MPO to get the Western Corridor alignment moving forward, and any studies, so that if there was some funding potential, we could go after it. And so that was good items. I think they're finally seeing that they put a lot of cars in our city every day. Anything before the combined meeting we need to talk about?
I mean, the biggest thing probably on the combined for the third is maybe House Bill 392 which we've had the Zoom calls.
We've had a couple of Zoom calls with Hurricane Fire District and the communities that are involved in the HB 392 effort with the county. County was on the phone with us. There's some questions about the legislation that are coming up. They're trying to get us answers. We're kind of on a short fuse to get it on the ballot for this year. And there's still some question on how much flexibility every city would have or every member would have. A little bit of disagreement between the county attorney's office, and state tax commission. So there's some discussion going back and forth. I'll keep you in the loop as we go. I think that's all. That's all that I had. Brock, you got anything? Anybody got an issue?
I just had one more question, Council and Mayor, about the water master plan update. When would you like to put the rate and the impact fee into effect?
Whether we want to have.
I was thinking October 1st.
When I talked to the mayor.
Any
Give it
thoughts?
me.
Kind of wait till we're out of high water usage? Or you
I'm
want
fine
it
with-
effective immediately?
As soon as you want, yeah.
Yeah.
Want to go effective immediately, like
I
September
think you can
1st?
go effective immediately because nothing, they're not gonna, they still gotta go through permitting and everything, probably 1st October anyway.
Okay,
But can we?
Sorry, what was the question?
Is there on the water impact fees, isn't there a time you have to wait before you can implement?
Yeah,
What's the date?
I think it's 90 days from the day of day of approval. It's 90 days till they go into effect, I
And
believe.
Okay.
when did we approve it?
the 23rd
Of,
August,
That's when it's coming back.
it's coming.
coming
Yeah.
back. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so, yeah, that's fixed. That date's fixed by code.
Okay,
What are you talking about, the water rates?
But that's
No.
just for the impact fees,
That's-
right?
That's just
Because the
impact.
water
The impact
rates
fee capital facilities plan, the water rates,
can
you
be
can
effective
detect
the date of approval.
whatever day you guys choose. You could
Yeah.
say, you could choose to put it out, or you could choose it's effective, immediately.
So I would say do water rates date of approval and then
Okay.
the impact fees 90 days out.
Maybe
my
just make it
opinion.
clean, so it's on a billing cycle, right?
okay.
Anything else?
I did have one, Chris reminded me. And I spoke with Mary with you, I think last week on this. Chris received an email from Melanie Oppenop from the county elections. And they have made a request that we do not have a polling location here in Santa Clara. So all the election workers are now employees of the county, and they don't have the staff, don't have the equipment, they say, to be able really to have a polling location here at the city. They want everything to be done at the Dixie Center. So they've requested that we give up our polling location here in Santa Clara.
Just for this year.
Well,
Should they make
they say that the justification is it's a federal election and they just want to do it this year. My response is it's a federal election next year. This is just in 2 years. This is just one for one seat federal election. The next one's going to be,
a presidential
yeah.
election?
So I feel like this is just the way to start and say, hey, so my little bit of my feeling was, no, people like our polling location here in Santa Clara. There's a lot of people who have that feeling of, I vote in person, I don't vote by mail, but I can understand where she's coming from as well, but I kind of felt like initially was, no, we'd like to
Are
keep
they
our,
asking every other city within the county to do that?
I think Ivans doesn't do it. Does any other city do a polling
Ivans does it.
location?
Ivans does it with them.
Does anyone have one in their city? Does Washington have a polling location in their city in Hurricane? Everybody does it.
They all go to the county.
She says they all go to the county.
There might be one that doesn't, but I'm not sure who it is. I just know that we're like one of the only
Wow.
ones that don't do it in the county.
So if you live in Hurricane, you have to drive all the way to Dixie Center to vote in person.
Really?
It's a pretty
I
good
don't
drive.
know- I don't know about the little ones, the little cities, counties.
I kind of think I'd like to know if they're asking that of every other city.
Yeah.
So like if Washington City's still going to be allowed to do theirs, if they have one at the library or wherever they're doing it, or if Hurricane has one in Hurricane. If they're still doing them, then I think I'd probably be inclined to keep ours.
I don't know. All right, we'll find out. We'll find out if any other municipality has a polling location besides the Dixie Center. Then she wants an answer, so I'll just, when we get that answer, send out an email and gather your thoughts, or I'll ask you on Sunday. So,
Okay, everybody's got your travel arrangements for UAMPS. Thank you, Brock. Hey, anything else? No executive session? Nothing else? I need a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion by Jarrett and a second by Lena. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thanks, everybody. Get my computer fixed.
Why does she not want to run?
Chris can probably answer that better, but I believe it was lack of